When Hao came downstairs, her mother was using an old towel to wipe the scrape on her elbow. Alarmed, she cried out, "Mom, what happened? Why is your arm bleeding so much?" Her mother gave a faint smile. "I just slipped. The yard was too slippery this morning. Heavens, why didn't you call me?" "Even if I did, no one would have heard," she replied, her voice distant, as though she were talking about someone else. Hao stayed silent, quickly dabbed some antiseptic and bandaged the wound, then hurried into the kitchen. Soon, the house was buzzing again with breakfast preparations. The old woman sat quietly to one side, tugging her sleeve down to hide the injury. On the tray were all the dishes she used to like: red sticky rice, lean pork sausage, but no one picked out a piece for her. The younger grandchild was glued to the phone. The older one rushed through eating to make it to class. Hao was busy checking orders while eating. Everyone was preoccupied, no one noticing the old woman's trembling hands as she tried to hold her chopsticks. After the meal, she asked to clean up. Hao nodded without lifting her eyes from the screen. Life went on, spinning coldly, while she, the mother, the grandmother, drifted further into loneliness inside her own home. That noon, heavy rain poured down. She sat by the window at the back, cradling a cup of cold tea, listening to the water streaming down the old tiled roof. From upstairs came the sound of a phone ringing, followed by the laughter of her children and grandchildren. No one asked if she was still in pain. No one remembered the morning incident. She knew there are wounds not caused by falling, but by no longer having anyone willing to listen. In the afternoon, when Chi came home, Hao pulled him aside, whispering. The old woman couldn't hear the words, but the glances in her direction were enough to tell. That evening, Hao said, "Mom, Chi and I talked. The house is too cramped, so we're thinking of moving you to the room out back. It's near the kitchen, so it'll be easier for you to get around at night." She gave no reply, just quietly moved her few belongings from under the stairs to the small room. The place was run down, with termite-eaten doors, damp tiles, only a dusty wooden cot and a dim desk lamp. Sitting on the cot's edge, she sighed. In the old days, the smallest room in the house was always kept for the parents. Now, the most tattered corner had become her share. Night fell. Rain drummed on the corrugated roof. Wind howled through cracks, making the curtains shiver. She lay on her side, pulling the blanket up to her chin, feeling fragile as never before. The next morning, she rose early, swept the little room, folded her few clothes, and cooked some crispy rice for herself. When Hao saw it, she merely said, "Mom, just cook separately if that's easier. I'm too busy to keep up with your taste." Her tone was even, neither sad nor glad, just like the air in that house, tidy yet cold. At night, she rolled up an old coat as a pillow, placed a black and white wedding photo on the table. Gazing at her husband's gentle face and her own youthful self with dark hair, she sighed softly. Rain went on through the night into morning, leaving puddles scattered in the backyard. Sitting on the damp cot, she rubbed her aching arm, massaged her stiff knees. Bodily pain she was used to. What chilled her was the loneliness inside. By noon, the phone rang. From upstairs, Chi called down. "Mom, Kung said he'll take you over to his place this weekend for a while. We're just too busy to take proper care of you." She froze by the sink, lifted her eyes toward the sunlit yard. Kung, the youngest son, the one everyone had looked down on for being poor, for not doing well in school. Only she had never uttered a word of reproach. Although poor, Kung never forgot his mother. The day she fell ill in the countryside, amid heavy rain, he was the first to rush home. When his father passed away, he stayed up through several nights, quietly keeping her company. Even though his siblings often looked down on him, Kung never once spoke harshly to his mother. On Sunday, he rode home on his old motorbike, wearing a frayed shirt and a battered helmet. His face was tanned, but his eyes were bright and gentle. The moment he saw her, he chattered eagerly. "Mom, are you feeling well? Are you very tired? I'm sorry for leaving you there for so long." No one answered. Hao, his sister, merely walked their mother to the door with a faint smile, reminding her, "Take care of yourself over there. Kung is poor. Don't let him struggle even more." The old woman lowered her head in silence, holding onto her son's shoulder as she climbed onto the bike. The engine sputtered to life, slowly rolling out of the alley, leaving behind the indifferent gazes from the three-story house, the very place she had once hoped to rely on. The road back to Kunning's home wound through small hamlets. His house was nothing more than a tin-roofed shack, cement floor bare, the living room doubling as a sleeping space, and a makeshift kitchen in the back. But the moment she appeared, Lone Kung's wife rushed out with delight. "Oh my, Mother's here. Come inside and rest. I just made hot soup. Have some to warm up." Her throat tightened, eyes stinging. Not because of the poverty, but because here she was welcomed as a real mother, not a burden. The two grandchildren ran to her, one asking for candy, the other showing off a drawing project. For the first time in a long while, she laughed freely. That night, Kung laid out a cotton mattress in the middle of the house, hung up a mosquito net, placed a glass of water nearby, and set up a small fan. He said, "Mom, you'll sleep here. I'll sleep in the kitchen. The house is cramped, no private room, but you can stay as long as you like." She held his hand tightly, whispering through tears, "Here, I feel warm." In this poor home, she finally found peace of heart. That night, she drifted into sleep quickly, not from exhaustion, but from the comfort she hadn't felt in months. Morning came alive in the little neighborhood with the sound of bread knives, doors creaking open, and kitchen smoke drifting. She sat on a plastic chair at the porch, watching sparrows land on the banana grove, her heart light as clouds. In the kitchen, Lone cooked while smiling. "Mom, just leave it to me. You should rest." The old woman rubbed her aching knees and replied, "I get bored sitting idle. Let me help a little." Lone brought out a steaming bowl of mung bean, sweet soup. "I made this, not too sweet. I know you avoid sugar." The old woman spooned a taste, the rich, nutty flavor spread in her mouth, and her eyes blurred with tears. It had been so long since anyone cooked something especially for her. That afternoon, Kung came home carrying a plastic bag. Sitting down, he gently removed her worn-out sandals. "I saw your strap broke this morning. You limped to the market. I bought these instead. Simple, but comfortable." She looked at the new sandals, emotions welling up wordlessly. In the wealthy house, she had eaten in air-conditioned rooms, but under her daughter-in-law's cold stares. Here, on the rough cement floor, the simple meal always came with someone placing food in her bowl, asking each night, "Did you sleep well, Mom?" One day, as Kung folded her clothes, she said softly, "Staying here too long bothers you and your wife. Soon I'll go back to the village." Kung looked up, his voice sincere. "I know you feel uneasy, but honestly, having you here makes me happy. The house may be small, but with you, it feels complete." Those simple words shook her to the core. All her life, she had only wished to hear once, "Having Mom is enough." At dusk, the last rays of sunlight streamed through the patched tin roof. Quietly, she folded her clothes. On the table, the bowl of sweet soup was empty, yet its warmth lingered in her hands. A new pair of sandals, a bowl of soup without harsh sweetness, just these were enough for her to know. She was still loved.